We work closely with our airport and our airlines to make sure that we have proper staffing. One thing I will say though, just like any kind of traffic, there could be some delays or bumps in the road. So the main thing is I would definitely highly encourage getting to the airport early. A lot of people traveling. Our 10 top days in TSA history happened since 2024, or Memorial Day of 2024. So obviously people are traveling. They're excited. They're ready to venture out. Tips for traveling. As I stated, arrive early. We want to make sure that people are getting through the process as efficiently as they can. But things happen. We want you to pack smartly. What does that mean? Start with an empty bag. If you're going to be traveling through the airports, whatever bag you're traveling with, if it's a carry-on or if it's going to be a checked luggage, start with it empty. Make sure there are no prohibited items. If you want to know the list of prohibited items, go to tsa.gov. It'll tell you all the information that you need to make sure that you are packing appropriately. But start with that empty bag. One thing that we see common, firearms. Properly packaged firearms are perfectly acceptable, but just make sure we're doing it appropriately. Firearms have to go underneath the plane, so you have to check that into your luggage. Hard side case, make sure it's locked, make sure it's unloaded and it's not with its ammunition, and you make sure you declare that with the airline. For your check bag or your luggage that you're bringing through the checkpoint, double check, make sure you didn't use a bag that you might take to the gun range. If you do, I highly recommend not using that bag. If that's the only bag you have, please make sure it's empty. We do have a lot of firearms that are still coming through our checkpoints. Last year alone, we had 6,600 firearms brought through our checkpoints. It's just going to delay the process. You're subject to civil penalty. If you're a TSA pre-check passenger, that pre-check will be revoked from you for a certain time frame. But again, pack smartly. What does that mean for you bringing stuff through the checkpoint? Remember 311. What is 311? 311 is liquids, gels, aerosols have to be 3.4 ounces or under. All of your liquids, gels, aerosols have to be that. You can only bring one quart-sized bag and one quart-sized bag per passenger. So again, going back, 3.4 ounces, make sure all of your liquids, gels, aerosols, things that you need to take on your trip are that amount, one quart-sized bag and one per passenger. If you have 4 passengers that are traveling with you, you get 4 of those items. As you're processing through the checkpoint, we have now gone full enforcement with our Real ID. That went effective May 7th, 2025. What does that mean? So as of that date, you have to have a Real ID to go through your checkpoint. If you do not, your travel will be delayed, could be delayed. If you do not have a Real ID, please get to the airport early, because it will slow down your process. You'll be able to get through, but it will slow down your process. If you do not have an ID at all, get here even earlier. We do have a process in place to do some identity verification, but please get here early, especially if those are the situations. We're very fortunate across the nation with Real ID. We did a great job. We are pretty compliant, but if you are still in the process of getting that Real ID, just get here early. As you're approaching this checkpoint, take time. Make sure that you've packed wisely. So if you're bringing on your 311 liquids, make sure that's accessible if you have to take that out of your bag. But the main thing you really could do is make sure that you have no bottles of water, and that any oversized liquids are not coming through the checkpoint. If you have oversized liquids, it's going to delay your process. Just make sure you get through the checkpoint. Take those things out. If you have questions, ask an officer. As you're approaching the checkpoint, have that ID. We have lots of technology at many different airports. All of our technology here in Wisconsin, we have our CAT machine, which is our credential authentication technology. So it's your driver's license. We take it, we put it in the machine, has all your information on it. There might be times where we need your boarding pass. So just make sure that your boarding pass is available as well. Once you're going through, listen to what the officers have to say. We have different technology. We have our computed tomography, which is our CT X-rays, and then we have our first generation X-rays, our ATs, which is an automatic targeting X-ray. But listen to the officers. They're going to tell you and get you prepared on how you do. As you're putting your stuff in, just make sure that you have all your items are out of your pocket. If you are not pre-checked, you will be going through our advanced imaging technology, so it's going to find everything. So those tissues, those napkins, pieces of paper, your license, money. Make sure you put those in your carry-on and get those through the X-ray. What we don't want is anything that's on your person. We're here to get people screened appropriately, and we want to try to have as less touch points as possible. But that's also needs assistance from the traveling public. So if you could do that as you're preparing, going through the checkpoint, that would be great. For our pre-check passengers, if you are not a pre-check passenger, it's $78 and it lasts for 5 years. It's not an annual fee. That's a misnomer. I clarify with the traveling public a lot. $78, it lasts for 5 years. If you're a pre-check passenger, you tend to have shorter lines. You get to keep your shoes on, your belts on. You get to keep your liquids in your bag, your computers. It is definitely an expedited process. So please, if you're interested in that, please do that. My last note is once you get through, grab your belongings and start your process. Start your vacation. Start your trip. We're there to help. If you have any questions, please ask a TSA officer. We will get you through the process effectively and efficiently as possible. Thank you.
Any questions? When you mentioned the 6,000 firearms, is that in the country or in Wisconsin or in the four that you
No.
covered?
So,
Okay.
so the 6,600 firearms was what TSA captured last year.
Okay.
We have had firearms this year. I know Appleton has had a firearm, and some of my other airports, and Milwaukee, Madison, we've had firearms. It's an ongoing issue. Some of the explanations of why people have left it probably aren't acceptable. The biggest thing that we stress to passengers: if you're going to travel and you're a frequent traveler to the gun range and you have bullets and guns, double check, make sure that none of that stuff got into your bag that you're traveling with. That's going to hold you up. Our officers are excellent. They're going to identify it, and it's going to cause delay for the checkpoint as well as people around you. This is very significant.
What about ammunition? Because I think that's another misconception, is that can you bring it through TSA, or you also have to check that with the unloaded gun?
Correct. So that has to be checked. We cannot have ammunition coming through our checkpoint. So if our officers see a loose bullet, they are going to check it. They are going to call law enforcement to come retrieve that. So yes, you cannot take that through a checkpoint. No firearms, no bullets, nothing through our checkpoints back here.
And so I have global entry. And
Sure.
I know when I did it, I had to go and do an interview at the airport.
Correct.
And I went to Newark. And what is the closest airport to here for those in Northeast Wisconsin who might want entry or TSA pre-check and have to do that interview?
So global entry events pop up. I know in Milwaukee they have global entry interview events. Chicago, and we've had, I think, one in the last couple of years up here in Appleton. But what I would say, in talking to some of the colleagues in CBP, if you are in the process and you're waiting for an interview and you happen to take an international trip, let them know you're in the process, and then they can potentially interview you during that time frame. Because there's downtime where the CBP officer could have that interview with you. But that was what they suggested us. That's what I'm going to suggest to you guys. Do you want me to walk through any of the prohibited items, like are common? So, some of the common things that we see, this right here, this is going to stop you. So bottles of water, just make sure these are empty. And you can bring a bottle of water, it just has to be empty. We highly encourage it. We don't want to take waters from folks. But if it is in there, due to our, and liquids have been banned since '06. So this isn't a new thing, but we see these all the time. if you're in the hotel and they give you the free little bottles of water, you're putting them in your bag. Just double check. Again, going back to that basics of, even if you're in a hotel, empty that bag, make sure you don't have any prohibited items. So water is our number one culprit. Key is if it's spreadable, spillable, sprayable, those, you just have to think about those. So jelly, spreadable. This we would consider a prohibited item. So what your options would be, our officers would see these things. They'd give you the option of, do you want to go down and check this in a bag? Because all these items can go in a check bag. Or do you want to take it to a car, if this would be your local airport car or a family member or someone that dropped you off, would you like to give that back to them? Or voluntarily abandon the product. And then the officer would take it and we would dispose of it appropriately. So this would be one. Shaving cream, a lot of the shaving creams that we get, when you see this, it just a lot of times means people are in a rush and they grab what's in their bathroom. We'll see big tubs of shampoo, conditioner, and it's because they need it and they're not, and they might not have pre-packed, gave themselves time, so they grab this and then this comes through the checkpoint and we end up having to do the same thing. So this is one. Liquids like this size, definitely not. Baby bottle. If you're traveling with a baby bottle or any kind of thing for your children, what I ask, talk to the officer. Let them know, because then we just have to do some additional things to allow you to put that through. But please declare this. And we get things like this. This is an LED candle, has obviously liquid inside. We see snow globes during Christmas time. We see that. It's the last thing we want to do as TSA is take anything like this away. So if you are traveling with this, please have a check bag. And if you are traveling someplace, for instance, at an airport this morning, I watched several people abandon spreadable cheese. We're in Wisconsin. So some spreadable cheese, they could not take it. They did not want to check a bag, so they voluntarily abandoned it. But again, if you're thinking that way, just make the purchases that are appropriate, that you can know that you're going to be able to travel through. And then, as we know, knives of any size, any blade will not go. These are just a couple examples of knives. Any other questions? Anything else?
Thank you, guys. We can get you any B-roll closer to the checkpoint if anybody needs anything else.
Thank you. I have 3 cards because I thought there were only going to be 3. So.